Feel amazing day, everyone. I'm glad to have you back. Well, here I am, enjoying every sip of coffee and making myself ready for another full amazing discoveries, learning, and adventures. You know what? As I read this magazine, it gives me a sad nostalgia of my high school days, the precious memories, and the places I've been with my classmates. Great experiences, I must say. Today, let me navigate you to another full amazing journey back to my high school days. Get ready because we will start this exciting journey after a short recap of the previous lesson. I am Teacher Joshua, your full amazing teacher broadcaster, and this is the third episode of the introduction to the philosophy of the human person. In the previous full amazing episode, we'll learn about philosophical activity, wherein philosophical activity involves the widest generalizations, fundamentals, and it is driven by the desire to integrate things into one coherent whole. We also learn about philosophical tools and the processes, philosophical questions, and logical reasoning. And lastly, the philosopher's ways of looking at things. With that, we have the partial and holistic point of views. Now, join me in reminiscing my high school life while learning philosophical reflections. High school. 4 years of laughters, heartbreaks, and one of the best years of my life. This time, allow me to share some of the best and the most memorable memories and realizations of my high school days. Come as I visit places that engrave precious memories, experiences, learning in my mind and heart. And we are here at the science laboratory. Long before, I loved performing science experiments, observations, and investigations. Definitely, science is widely accepted as good and reliable source of knowledge, information, and data. It uses standards in identifying whether a certain discovery is scientific or not through experimentation and observation. Likewise, science is empirical. It uses the senses in arriving into a truth, reality called sense knowledge. Science is investigative. This means it must investigate to describe facts and events. Specifically, it gives us knowledge of particular facts. The method of science in providing a data is basically observation coupled with experimentation. And the product of science is scientific truth. Yes, science gives us scientific truth and sense knowledge. However, in the principles of philosophy, scientific knowledge covers a small part of the world. Science ideas is still limited. Like for example, we cannot prove the existence of God scientifically or through scientific method or experimentation. God can never be a specimen. And scientists cannot tell us what happiness is, how it is to be attained, or what must we do in order to achieve it. The truth is science cannot solve everything, particularly in ethical issues and problems. Science looks at reality partially. I think enough for science. Next to visit is an office that I didn't want to get in because I made wrongdoings.
Joshua, you are needed in the guidance office.
Oh, that's nerve-wracking. Let's go.
Good morning, Joshua.
Good morning po, ma'am.
Okay, Joshua. Your class advisor reported that your grades are failing, which is quite alarming. May I know the possible reasons?
Actually, ma'am, I've been busy in the past few days and...
This place taught me a lot of things and realizations. Yes, We are free to choose, but we are not free from the consequences. A single moment of misunderstanding is so poisonous, it makes us forget hundreds of good memories with our friends and classmates. Definitely, it is a must for us to weigh things first before we come up with our decisions. Different views must be examined carefully. With that, here are some takeaways from the great philosopher for the day. Gabriel Honore Marcel was a French philosopher, playwright, music critic, and a leading Christian existentialist. According to him, philosophical reflection is the act of giving time to think about the meaning and purpose of life. He mentioned two types, namely primary reflection and secondary reflection. To have a clearer view, primary reflection refers to the ability to think logically and evaluate arguments. It examines things by breaking it down into different or constituent parts. It is concerned with definitions, essences, and technical solutions to problems. On the other hand, we have the secondary reflection. This type of reflection enables us to look deeper into our experiences and see the bigger picture of reality. It integrates fragmented and compartmentalized experiences into a whole. Speaking of weighing things, his thoughts can be best illustrated using this platform balance. Say for example, life. For primary reflection, basically, it's the biological functioning of the organs, like breathing and beating of the heart. While for the secondary reflection, it's about having life, having career, friends, loved ones, overcome problems, and happiness. Now your turn. I'll be showing two pictures, then you are going to identify which one is for the primary and which one is for the secondary. The first word is house. Here are the pictures. Again, you are going to identify which one is for the primary and which one is for the secondary. So this picture is for the secondary, and this one is for the primary. So for the primary reflection, it is a house which has structure, size, and dimension. On the other hand, for the secondary reflection, it is a home where relationships are built in the context of family. Okay, so for the next word, we have the word rain. So here are the pictures. Alright, we have this one for the primary and this one for the secondary. So for the secondary reflection, it could be a curse for a commuter and a blessing to a farmer. Okay, so for the primary reflection, so it could be a natural occurrence. Alright, so for the third and the last word, we have the word love. So here are the pictures. Okay, so which one is for the primary and which one is for the secondary? So this picture is for the secondary and this one is for the primary. So if you look at it objectively or using the primary reflection, so it could be an expression of feelings through chemical reaction in the brain. And subjectively, or using the secondary reflection, it may mean giving oneself to others. Primary and secondary reflection of Gabriel Marcel is a good way of looking at things. It is also one of the possible ways to understand the dynamics of partial and holistic point of view. Problems, situations, and decisions must be viewed in different perspectives. In life, we must learn to adjust our lenses of expectations to understand and to see the wonders. Memories from this office will be forever in my heart. Our guidance counselor don't have superpowers, but they have ears to listen, heart to care, and an open mind to understand. When I was in high school, there's a place that I and my classmates used to hang out. That place made us so relaxed. I think we're good to go. Come and let's visit that place. Just like the old days, the memories are still fresh and of the same value. Come on, this will gonna be fun and exciting because adventures are the best way to learn. This place reminds me one of the greatest philosopher, Plato. He once said, "On the walls of the cave, only the shadows are the truth." Let's talk more about reflection, Plato, and the theory he put forward, the allegory of the cave. This theory is concerned with human perceptions. Plato claimed that knowledge gained through the senses is no more than opinion. And in order to have real knowledge, we must gain it through philosophical reasoning. In the allegory of the cave, Plato distinguishes between people who mistake sensory knowledge for the truth and the people who really do see the truth. Imagine a cave in which there are 3 prisoners, and the prisoners are tied to some rocks. Their arms and legs are bound, and their head is tied so that they cannot look at anything but the stone wall in front of them. These prisoners have been here since birth and never seen the outside of the cave. Behind the prisoners is a fire, and between them is a raised walkway. People outside the cave walk along this walkway, carrying things on their head, including animals, plants, wood, and stone. Now, imagine that you are one of the prisoners. You cannot look at anything behind or to the side of you. You must look at the wall in front of you. When people walk along the walkway, you can see the shadows of the objects they are carrying cast on the wall. If you had never seen the real objects ever before, you would believe that the shadows of the objects were real. Plato suggests that the prisoners would begin a game of guessing which shadow would appear next. If one of the prisoners was correctly guessed, the others would praise him as clever and say that he was a master of nature. Afterwards, one of the prisoners then escapes from their bindings and leaves the cave. He is shocked at the world. He discovers outside the cave and does not believe it can be real. As he becomes used to his new surroundings, he realizes that his former view of reality was wrong. He begins to understand his new world and sees that the sun is the source of life and goes on an intellectual journey, wherein he discovers beauty and meaning. He sees that his former life and the guessing game they played is useless. Lastly, the prisoner returns to the cave to inform the other prisoners of his findings. They do not believe him and threaten to kill him if he tries to set them free. And now let's have it in a deeper context. The allegory of the cave by Plato should not be taken at face value. It expects you to have deeper understanding of the meaning of the theory. You can then use this to think about criticisms and then form your own opinion. Likewise, in Plato's theory, the cave represents people who believe that knowledge comes from what we see and hear in the world. Empirical evidence. The cave shows that believers of empirical knowledge are trapped in a cave of misunderstanding. Then the shadows represents the perceptions of those who believe empirical evidence ensures knowledge. If you believe that what you see should be taken as truth, then you are merely seeing the shadow of the truth. In Plato's opinion, you are pleb if you believe this. And what about the game? The game represents how people believe that one can be a master when they have knowledge of the empirical world. Plato is demonstrating that this master does not actually know any truth, and suggesting it is ridiculous to admire someone like this. Moreover, escaped prisoner represents the philosophers who seeks knowledge outside the cave and outside the senses. The sun represents philosophical truth and knowledge. His intellectual journey represents a philosopher's journey when finding truth and wisdom. And lastly, the other prisoner's reactions to the escapee returning represents the people who are scared of knowing philosophical truth and the trust to the philosophers. There will be times that we feel tired and stressed. But just because we are in a stressful situation, it doesn't mean we have to get stressed out. Sometimes, all we need is a break, in a quiet place, alone, and figure things out. Come, I'll show you where I used to take my me time when I was in high school. And I guess this place will do. A quiet place, a peaceful one, and a place that I could call my own. Let's sit for a while and let's talk about life. The last philosophical reflection that I'll be going to share is the moral theology, which employs the step as the guidepost of moral decision making. S stands for search out the facts, T for think, then O, how it affects others, and P stands for pray. First, search out the facts. It is necessary that all means should be exhausted to better understand the issue. Then, think, reflect, and analyze the facts, its negative or positive effects, advantages or disadvantages. After that, figure out how it affects others. We should always consider others in every decision that we make. Every action that we take has always a social dimension. It affects ourselves, others, and community where we belong. Last and the most important thing is pray. We are human beings with limitations. If our best effort are not enough, then there is no way but to look up for divine or God for enlightenment and guidance. Reason is also important in theology, not just faith. Whether in philosophy, sociology, or other sciences, reflection is very useful in understanding daily experiences to broaden our perspective of life. And that concludes our short but meaningful learning adventures. So let's have a short review of what we have learned today. Reflection is the process that would aid in understanding the holistic point of view of what is going on around us. Likewise, when we venture into philosophizing, we see the greater perspective of all things and see the ultimate purpose or reasons for our existence. There are different possible ways that may help us understand the dynamics of philosophical reflections. We may use the principles, theories, and findings of science. The Marcellian way as presented by the philosopher Gabriel Marcel, Plato's masterpiece, the Allegory of the Cave, and the moral theology. My high school memories make me smile no matter what is going on in my life in the present. I think we have reached the end of our Philomazing lesson for today. Thank you for joining me in reminiscing my past. Always remember, life reflects what we allow ourselves to see. Step back, accept, reflect, and act. For our next Philomazing lesson, we will discover more about the world of philosophy. I am Teacher Joshua, your Phil Amazing Teacher Broadcaster. And see you on our next Phil Amazing Discoveries, Learning, and Adventures.